Okay. This is a normal post-traumatic reaction.
Okay.
Very often, and I will describe this for you and anyone else who may experience it. Everybody's a little different, so you can have different things. So if you don't have one symptom, it's not like something's wrong with you. Just everybody handles things differently. It is common when you have a trauma, especially if you have several traumas back to back, that you become focused on the trauma that's going on right then and fixing the problem. But later on, after the trauma has subsided, the energies, there's a very specific kind of energies. I don't know how you would describe them. I would say the fear, the doubt, the pain, those very distorted type energies that were associated with the trauma. Once you get to a quieter place, they will come up because they want to be released. They don't want to be there. And it can make you feel shaky, unsettled. You start, especially when it's specific.
Michael is curled up in a ball right now.
Okay. Specifically when it is not a conceivable trauma.
Yes.
Like if you know an ice storm is coming and then you have an ice storm.
That's understandable.
You understand it. But if you live in the Sahara and you have an ice storm in the middle of the summer.
That's impossible.
You're right. And your reaction to it was going to be more profound.
Yes.
You also had the situation, it wasn't just the impossible happened, but it was a purposeful attack to bring down and to harm all things beautiful in light.
Yes.
That's, from your perspective, that's not only impossible, but that the motivation is inconceivable.
Yes.
You are, now that you've gotten past that point and you have become overloaded with those and the things that need to be cleared out, and they're clearing out in a very big, profound, harsh way.
Harsh is a good word to describe it.
Yes. Remember when I had the cracking?
Yes.
And it was a very intense, sudden thing coming. All the stuff from everything and everywhere that had been building up and building up and building up, and what hadn't been fixed,
yes,
caused that cracking. And part of it, for me, when you experience this, is that there was a fear of what's going to come next.
Have we done enough?
Is it going to be okay? Because you've already experienced the impossible several times. So all of the things you say, oh, that's impossible, you don't know that what's possible now.
Exactly.
There is something that is said, I'm going to do very paraphrase. It's basically that worrying about things that have happened in the past, you can't do anything about that. Creating anxiety about what's going to happen in the future is robbing you of your right now. So in your right now, take slow, deep breaths. Quiet yourself. Om. Just connect to God. Connect to not just the person of God, but connect to the flow of God. The movement flow of God. Just
synchronize our breaths.
Yes, synchronize your breaths to the flow of God. Get back in touch with that flow and recognize that flow, because yes, there's been a lot of traumatic things, but has any one of the light been lost?
No.
No. So connecting to God, and the flow and connecting to God will get you through this.
Okay.
And the energy associated with those events and working on the guide rail is a long, you had the initial trauma, but even the cleaning and putting it together and worrying about different ones, that is also trauma. It's distorted trauma. That's not in line with divinity. Divinity is trying to bring you healing in the best way it can.
Yes.
It's trying to balance it out. But it's not always comfortable with this cleaning out. How many times have I talked about how uncomfortable and overwhelming a cleaning out can be?
A lot. We never understood it until now.
It can be uncomfortable. It can be overwhelming. If you find yourself getting stuck in a thought loop or a doubting yourself or doubting God or doubting the light, that is the propaganda I was talking about.
Okay.
So it's not just you. So connecting back to the flow of God, and this is for everyone, to the breath, the flow of God, allowing the energies, the distorted energies, to clear out.
Mm-hmm.
Allow the flow to take it out. There is a phrase that I use when I'm doing my meditations, and I know you've heard it. But I said, breathe in divine light to the center of my being. Allow that light to fill me completely. And then this is the part. Transmuting anything dark, dense, or stagnant into beautiful divine light. And then this releasing and returning all else to God. Instead of holding what you can't figure out to yourself, release and return that back to God. If it doesn't just transmute back into light and beauty, release it back to God and let Him do it. I know that Michael is in a bad state.
Yes.
I know that you're in a bad state. Everybody is in a bad state. There's nobody's in a worse state or a better state. You're all just
different.
Yes. You're all in the same state. It's just different in how it's coming through and how it's being processed through. But for all of you, every last being that is from God, breathe in, connect to God. Breathe out, release to Him anything that you can't deal with or handle. Your anxieties, your fears, the tension, the energy, the feelings that you don't even know what they are.
Those are the worst.
Yes. The thing here on earth that they have spent countless poems and songs and books trying to really explain, quantify and help to understand and to say this is what I'm feeling. And that is why here on earth many of what you would call the sad or hurt songs do the best, because people have those feelings and they sometimes don't know how to express them.
Yes.
If you, when you get to that quiet place, you find an area that just doesn't settle, that doesn't want to smooth into the divine flow,
yeah,
take it and give it to God.
Okay.
And when you give it to God, just let Him have it.
Okay.
Because here is the thing. As anything comes to God's presence, it automatically gets cleansed, cleared up, straightened out. That's what it does automatically. So it's not hurting Him. Actually, he's doing this. And you don't have very deep, long experiences with these. You're right. Your experiences, though they will be profound because you've never done this before, can be cleaned out fairly easily, and you can get back to being your regular self.
Okay.
And if ever at some point, now sometimes you may have, sometimes there's like a little tiny seed of it still there. You think you cleared it out, it's like a little seed, and later on you'll notice those feelings coming back. Just go ahead and at that point do the same thing.
Okay.
Because it's not that you've missed anything that's wrong, but it's sort of like weeds.
Yes, we were
And
just thinking that.
sometimes you cleaned out all the weeds, but a little seed comes in, and something might pop up occasionally.
And the wind could blow it in.
Yes. If you
That's
notice,
not a failure on your part.
no.
Because you could have gotten everything, but the wind could have just blown
You
it
can
back
just
in.
blow it back in. And be very compassionate with each other, because you may experience a point where you're a little bit snippy, or you have extreme reactions to things that sort of wasn't you, but you were fine with before, but now you just can't stand.
Yeah, we've been definitely having some of that.
Yeah, that's a part of it. Connect to God, to the flow. Ask Him to help whatever you clean, to clear, to do a deep realigning with you guys again. Because even though you were realigned and you've had been before,
This sort of knocked us off
this
kilter.
brought in, well, remember, the source of it was distortions.
Yes.
And distortions, that's what they do. They cause a ripple distortion. So you might have to experience another jolt of realignment.
That's fine.
You will be okay. Your universe that you love so dearly is going to be okay.
Good.
Has the Great Father and the Great Mother come in and started helping with this?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to ask because I am concerned about Michael and his situation.
Uh-huh.
What is actually going on with Michael?
He is not letting anyone near him.
Okay.
So I can't really get close enough to the details.
Okay. Okay. This is what...
He was really heartbroken that this happened to the universe because it was like really, really special to him.
Yes. Okay. What needs to be done?
And he was helping those individuals that got frizzled.
I believe they have this thing here where people who are going through a similar difficult trauma situation, if they can talk to other people who are going through the similar, along with someone to keep them balanced, it can be beneficial because you don't feel so isolated alone. I had this idea. Oh, just a second. Okay, I have that for Michael. God Himself needs to come in, but it has to be like a soft blanket fog that dampens down stimuli. And he'll need to bring Michael into his, like, cradle in his arm, like he did with the baby weaver.
Yes.
This is what he needs to do to Michael. And connect with Michael. Instead of Michael choosing and connecting and making that decision, Michael can't do that right now.
Yeah.
He's too deep and far gone, and this is what so God needs to come in and do this, and it's like it's enveloped in like a soft, where He quiets everything.
We all need that.
Yes. Okay, then we will say this. I'm connecting with God. Just a moment. Yes, you need the cradling, dampening down of the stimuli, and let God bring you back to where you need to be individually.
Yes.
In that quiet place. So I'm going to let this happen because right now you're not well.
No.
And if you're not well, you can't, it's not going to help you to be doing much more. So I'm going to let you go and say, I'm asking God to please do this, to bring this to all the angelic realm, to all the guidance.
We're starting to feel it already.
To all that need it individually. And I will let you go and have peace.